Hello everyone, happy Sunday and welcome back to the final video of the Invader series. So it is a bit sad news that Invader series is going to end by this video. Mainly the reason is that I've covered pretty much most of the important concepts. So I think anything else I cover would just be some decorations or some sort of repetitions on what I've said already. So today we will end the Invader series with a super nice game between two Chinese professionals. So the black player is Xie Hao from China. He's a 9P professional. He's one of the best players in China right now. And of course, the white player we have Ke Jie, so he needs no introduction. The game was played a while ago, so most of the moves are not updated with AI. White made the traditional split move. When black approaches, white also makes a 4-space low pincer. So black pincers from the top side, white makes a 2-space extension. It's very normal opening. And then black pincers. So today's point of view would more be like pressing at E16, but I've said this is played a long time ago, so there was no AI at the time. So after a couple exchanges, we can tell that black is focusing on developing the right, and white obviously is getting himself some cash in the pocket by playing the pincer at C13. Black connects the moyo, and then white now plays an excellent move at D18. This move looks very small, but it's actually really big. First of all, it kills off the corner. If white doesn't play, black can attach into the corner. If white blocks, there's a leftover Aji at C17, but the fact that black got E18 is going to help tremendously for the protection of his moyo. On the other hand, when white descends at D18, not only it fixes the Aji in the corner, but also is looking at the leak at G19 and potentially making use of invasion at G18. This move is just going to help out the invasion, and it also secures the corner. This is a very professional move, very good move from Ke Jie. Black now approaches, and then white decided to invade because anything else the white plays here, it seems a little bit over repetitive on this side, right? White is all playing on one side, which is not a great sign. So in the actual game, Ke Jie decides to make the first invasion of the game, and that's where the invasions start to happen in this game. So we'll examine this invasion more or less in details and actually enjoy the perfect attack and defense from both sides. So first of all, why did Ke Jie invade at age 16? Which one of the principles did he follow when he played the age 16 move? Well, first of all, we can clearly tell that there are some weaknesses in black's formation. So the age 16, which looks really unusual because we have covered a lot of invasions in the previous videos, and attacking at age 16 really close to the wall is not very common. But today, this is an excellent move because this is not just an invasion, but also an attack onto a black's 3 stones. So this is following tightly without principle of counterattack. If black plays anything else, has to be very careful with the push and cut over here. In the actual game, Xie Hao decided to fix the weakness. This shows tremendous patience and strength. Ke Jie now has to deal with the group by playing another excellent move. This is following the principle of giving us as many options as possible. White can jump horizontally at L14, he can jump out at G12, and he can also play the very beautiful knight's move at K17 and even attach at K16. Very nice move, creating very good flexible light shape that gives us a lot of options. Hao obviously cannot allow white just coming out like this, right? So first of all, we have to cap white inside, and then we'll figure out what to do after. Ke Jie hops out horizontally, and then Xie Hao decides to hop back. This shows tremendous strength and patience and professionalism, because if you just keep attacking, white can start making use of your weak stone and then create a lot of ice space and shape over here. Right, so if this plays out, white is using the principle of attaching to our opponent when we are running. So that would tightly follow the principle, and then black is, it's not very easy for black to deal with this. Xie Hao obviously understands all the principles in invasion, so he decided to eliminate that choice from Ke Jie. The next move, Ke Jie decides to play the knight's move at k17, forming a beautiful shape and also creating ice space on the bottom. So after a couple exchanges, black takes the vital point at h18. This is aiming at the cut at j17. When Ke Jie hops out, Xie Hao decides to exchange two moves, and then Ke Jie is sort of in a, this is something that we have covered, right? When your dragon is not immediately in danger, like we see right now, what we should do is always have that sense of urgency. So if you remember the Fujisawa's invasion, right? When our dragon is safe, it doesn't mean that it's time for us to celebrate happy hours. It's not the time for us to just play a relaxing move such as this one, right? If you exchange this one, maybe with black's this move, or even black just directly cuts here, this exchange will lose you so many points that the game immediately turns around, and black is going to be leading in terms of territory. So in the actual game, Ke Jie understands the sense of urgency. He understands that this is a global game. The local invasion was successful since Ke Jie followed tightly with principles. The local invasion was very successful. Doesn't mean the game is over. The game is still very, very equal, and we have to play very, very carefully with a sense of urgency. That's why Ke Jie decided to attach at the 3-4, keep invading the corner. So they played out a couple moves, and then the first mistake is probably for Ke Jie to play this move. So a better shape move is to actually play the small knight. This looks a lot more flexible, a lot more natural, and it gives a lot of leftover weaknesses for black over here. In the actual game, Ke Jie did not play very accurately by playing r15. The problem with this move is after these exchanges, this wall gets stronger, and then our dragon starts to weaken. So after a few exchanges, when black pushes over here, this is still a very difficult game for Ke Jie. First of all, in terms of territory, black is not so behind. The second problem is that this dragon, even if it's out, it can still become a target of attack. So as we can tell from the first two invasions, Ke Jie followed tightly with the principles, and Ke Jie also understood the sense of urgency by immediately invading the corner. But after playing pretty well, I would say apart from this jump move is a bit questionable, after these plays, Ke Jie is still slightly behind in the game. And this just shows you that Go is such a hard game. Even if you play so accurately, even if the flow looked just fine for you, you can still be behind. So Ke Jie decided to avoid the peep at k13 that could potentially be a problem by exchanging these two moves, and then hop out once more, right? This is what I said, right? This dragon is not completely out, so Ke Jie plays an extra move to make sure it's safe. This is actually not a relaxing move. This is actually a great move because, for example, if Keje defends here, which is big. Black is going to cap on top. Sure, your dragon has no problem getting himself alive here, but after exchanging a few moves, we can see the bottom starts to become a problem. So Keje understood that, and Keje played this one. Not only secures the dragon, but also invades the potential that Black's going to have here. So fast moving forward, both players played out a old-time Joseki. When Black pushes and cuts, and then fix the weakness, Keje decides to cap the 2 stones. Xie Hao decides to shoulder hits, and then Keje peeps first and then blocks, making sure these 2 stones are killed. Playing moves like this is very greedy because there will be Aji like this, right? When white blocks, Black is gonna cut. Locally, this is not gonna, the ladder does not work, but Black can make use of the ladder breaker. So forcing white to pretty much get rid of this, and then Black can have the initiative to attack this dragon again, and therefore building Moyo on the bottom side. So Keje does not want all that change in momentum. That's a very, very deep reading. So Keje decided to sacrifice local profits by fixing the weaknesses, and then Xie Hao blocks at c9. And then we are at the 3rd invasion of our game. That is for Keje to invade at m3. This once again follows tightly with our principle for giving us as many options as possible. So now white can jump out at m5. White has the horizontal jump at k3 that aims at dragging the stone back at h2. And also white can potentially attach into the corner and get himself the territory. So very nice, right? When we play a move that follows a principle, it is awesome because we know there's so many things to do and there's no way for our opponent to prevent all of them at once. Well, it is the case until you see the next move. When we at first glance we think this invasion is easy. It's very, very simple to get out. White is under no pressure, but in the eyes of professionals, it's not, right? So Xie Hao immediately understands what's at stake, not worrying about any of the whites, the things that white have, rather just start attacking the dragon. The idea being that if Black can exchange a few moves here, that would put a lot of pressure onto m3. So this is a very common idea in the game of Go. Cut off 2 groups and then attack on each side. So Keje is still sort of in a very difficult situation. Maybe depending on the level of the viewers, I think maybe you won't be able to appreciate the difficulty of this invasion. But if we watch a couple more moves, we will see that after these 2 exchanges, this stone starts to become, it doesn't feel good anymore because of these 2 stones. Here, for example, if white makes the mistake of exchanging too many moves here, Black is going to extend. This leaves a cutting point, and then also the move over here at n7 puts even more pressure onto white, which is why in the actual game Keje has to not exchange those moves that hurts the m3 stones. And then the next move is the shape move. So it's very interesting, right? So whenever you want to attack, you want to avoid the Aji in the corner. This n3 is a beautiful move that if you're not familiar with, you can learn from this game, really, right? Because if you play from here, white is going to hop into your corner. Likely it's going to destroy your corner and then sacrifice this m3 stone. It's actually very hard to deal with, right? If you don't think, white is going to grab all the territory, and this is a losing game for Black. That's why Xie Hao decided to bump at n3. And now all of a sudden we are at a third invasion problem. At first glance, it starts to look difficult, right? How is white going to deal with this, right? So next move, Koje follows up by jumping out, creating as many options as possible. There's the jump at O5. There is a big knight at J6. These are all very good moves. And then the K3 is still available on the table. So black does not want a horizontal jump. So for example, black attacks from the other side. When white jumps over here, the weaknesses in the corner persists. And also remember, if white has one more stone, let's say for example, these two guys has to worry about their connections. So that's why Xie Hao, understanding which part is more urgent, played this one. Fixing the corner, completely block off anything that white has on this side, forcing white to go towards the left side. Well, and that's what Koje did, right? He goes ahead, jump at K3. Another excellent move. This creates two moves on the board. One is this big knight at J6. The other one is pulling the stone back at H2. So obviously black has to block off this H2 because it's territory as well as the security for the entire group. So Xie Hao blocks it off, and then Koje obviously takes the other option. A very beautiful move, creates many more options, right? Jumping at J8 and then connecting here with this group. And also creating eye space in general in the center for white. Xie Hao follows up by an excellent move that cuts off the connection. So after a few exchanges, Xie Hao decides to first make use of white's Aji over here, trying to get himself thick. And then after all that preparation, he can start the attack onto white's group. This is an excellent idea. So white harness, right? So for example, if white blocks, black is going to extend down at B6. White obviously wants to block this. After this exchange, white is forced to connect at F6. So if white just goes directly for this, there's a great Tsuji here. So white's actually gonna lose the game here, right? If that plays out like this. So that means when black extends, white has to play this. And when black turns, white has to kill the stones. That means black is really thick here, and now black can really start to attack white by playing like this. So that will put white actually in trouble, right? So if you turn here, so the problem is that, remember, both of these moves are sente. So when black extends, this looks like a desert for white to go in, and then white has to struggle over here. So Koje did not want to allow that sacrifice, so instead he decides to hane on the second line. Black decides to fix the weakness over here, because the problem with directly killing this group is that even if, let's say tactically there's nothing for white over this region, white still has things like this for a very strong counterattack. So to prevent that, Xie Hao decided to fix everything over here. That's a very patient move. And then Koje decides to kill the 3 stones, because otherwise this running out is a huge amount of points. And Koje is just not that ahead in terms of territory, so he has to get more territory. So after a couple exchanges, Xie Hao decides to cut the group off. And then Koje got really scared, and he had to, tactically, he had to basically connect the group back. So at this point, we can tell after 3 successful invasions, Koje still is behind, right? I guess that's just the game of Go, right? This is really the idea that I want to present to you guys. I mean, invasion is not just hard for you guys, right? It's hard for the best player of the world. And Go game in general is just hard. Even if sometimes you follow, most of the time you follow the correct principle, you play the beautiful shape move, it could just be the case that our opponent is so strong, our opponent is so patient, or our opponent has such a good understanding of Go, or just has better level than us, right? Like if you are 3Q, 2Q, and you playing against a 1 Dan, it could just be the case that your opponent understands the game, the direction better than you do. And after so many invasions, following the right principles, play seemingly good moves, you still fall behind. Even Ke cannot escape that. At this point, this is a leading game for Black, mostly because the compensation that Black was able to get with the thickness over here. So let's keep going. Xie Hao played a Tsuji. This is a beautiful invasion move, right? This is invasion from Black. So if, for example, White blocks, Black's gonna pull the stone back. If you try to kill Black, there's a problem over here. White already has problems. And this would be a collapsing situation for White, because you Atari, I can connect, and we can tell there's a Atari here, and then there's another Atari. So, but if White basically connects back, there is obviously there is this move that's going to be in Sente. That's very, very big. Not to say at this point, Black can probably directly cut. That's also very severe. If you don't like the previous option, you can play out like this. So if you play this, so even if White is able to kill Black in here, so let's say, for example, even if you're able to kill Black in here, the moves that Black is able to get from the outside is going to overcompensate for the loss in the corner. So White did not want to allow that, so White instead had to block from the inside. That leaves a very huge endgame as to retreat at B12. But in the actual game, Xie Hao decided that this S6 move is really huge. Yeah, it is actually very, very big. If you play out the other ones, let's say you connect things back, there could be potentially things like this. And then we can tell the difference between, if Black gets the S6, this is absolutely tremendous, right? It's in the magnitude of 15 points and above. So let's just quickly keep moving. So Ke decides to fix the Yaji here, and then Black gets a Sente to squeeze there. And then finally Black comes back and get the very, very big move that both players wanted to play but had no time to actually play. This move is absolutely huge over here. White decides to exchange 2 moves, and then Black decides to take another big endgame. So if Black fixed this is actually not as big as this one, because this connection is a Sente. Black is forced to descend. So saving these 2 stones in Sente is absolutely huge. So in the actual game, Xie Hao takes the reverse Sente, getting rid of these 2 stones, and then they played a couple moves in the center, a couple exchanges, and then just at the point where we think we're about to go into the end game, Ke really showed us the spirit of Invader, right? This is the very touching final moment of our invasion series. That is for Ke to invade once again, right? With this P2 move on the board, you really question yourself, in the game of Go, what is not invadable, right? Such a solid corner, and Ke still observed something. And then he goes ahead and played the P2 invasion. So it might look like a suicide move, but this move is actually very difficult to deal with. So Xie Hao should probably have just played R2. making sure the base is okay. The only problem is white's going to descend, and that happens to be ascente because later on there's this. So white is able to get some endgame profits, but there's still going to be a leading game for black. So if black played accurate endgame, this would be a winning game for black. In the actual game, Hao did not want that. He says, you coming in, I'm going to kill you. I will make sure this is a suicide. Ke Jie next move plays S3. This is just crazy invasion. And this is actually a very beautiful moment. Black clamps and then white hanes, and now black plays R2. And this is probably Hao's biggest mistake in this game. So let's first look at what black could have done, right? So black could have just pushed here, right? Play the most intuitive moves here. So white's only hope is to counterattack black's outside, but black can block on top. When white pushes, black's in the block, and when white cuts, black is able to Atari first, and then Atari on top, and then we can all tell that when black descends here, it does not matter whether white gets these things or not, but black's going to refuse the ko anyway, and then white is pretty much dead inside. So that just means that variation is not going to work. So at this point, it's a very difficult, very difficult game for white basically. So tactically, it's there's not much that white can do. White can probably make use of. The problem is with this move, it doesn't even work. So black is gonna actually make the tiger's mouth here. Things in the corner also not gonna work, as I have covered. Black just needs to make sure to connect everything. So that would have been game over for Ke Jie pretty much. But after so many good invasions, finally Ke Jie was able to get the chance to come back into the game. If black pushes in the actual game, Hao decides to extend. White is going to block, and then Ke Jie has this beautiful. So at this point, first of all, it looks really normal for us just to Atari at P3. The problem with this is it doesn't work. White is going to connect at P5. There are two things that are happening. First of all, there's a connection problem. If black fixes the connection, white is going to connect. And when black connects, white is going to squeeze. We can tell that white is winning the liberty fight by 1. And if at this point, if black insists on just killing the corner, that's also not going to work, because when white gets this, the gain over here is absolutely huge, and this is a losing game for black. Black has to absolutely Atari on the outside at P5. So in this case, white is going to connect at R3. If black now makes sure these two guys are killed, white has a very easy way to win the game by playing like this. So white is able to destroy the corner while getting himself a lot of points. So this transfer of points is going to win the game for white. Black's most resilient defense is to play Q6, making sure there's no connection underneath. But actually, this is the worst way to actually lose the game, because white is going to connect at P3. If black wants to kill, black has to go from P1. So first of all, there's already this cutting point going on. But just locally, white can throw in first. When black takes, white has now a Tsuji at S1. So make sure that you don't make these very bad mistake, because when you play this one, black can actually turn here first, and now white does not have any eye space. Instead, white is going to attach at S1. When black connects, white is going to Atari. Black obviously can choose this, but that's also a resigning move, because the ko over here is just too heavy for black, and any white just need to figure out, like, find a 1 or 2 ko threats, and then black's not able to continue this game. In the actual black actually has to connect when white Ataris, and now we have a maybe one done like a one done problem, right? So here I guess it's very straightforward. White can just play out this combination, and when black goes in, we can obviously connect underneath. Now black has a cutting point on the outside, and white's profit is just absolutely huge. So that's immediately black needs to resign. So that's being said, none of these variations actually work trying to block this part. So in the actual game, Xie Hao decides to at least kill the corner. Ke Jie follows up by playing p5. After an exchange, Xie Hao decided to play m2. So now Ke Jie connects back at p3. Given at this time probably both players are in Boyomi, AI would suggest Xie Hao to play l4, and this is still a very chaotic game. It's hard to tell who's winning because the game is very close. But in the actual game, Xie Hao decided to connect underneath at p1, letting Ke Jie connect the groups back. So at this point, this is a leading game for Ke Jie, slightly leading game for Ke Jie. So Ke Jie still has to play very accurately in the endgame for this to work out. But when black extends, Ke Jie was able to get this Incente, and with Ke Jie's very strong endgame skills, Ke Jie eventually won this game. And as we can tell from this game, even the best player in the world was struggling. Despite the fact that Ke Jie plays so many good invasions, he has followed so tightly with the principles, and he has invaded so many times. He was behind the entire game. It's kind of like everything that we do in life, right? There's uncertainty. There's always the fact that you might be doing the right thing, but things just don't work out. In the game of Go, it's the same, right? You have the right idea, you have the right moves, but your opponent could be so strong, he could be just one level above you, that things don't work out as well. But like in life, we just gotta keep trying. We just gotta keep sticking to the principles, playing the good moves, and eventually we will find our chances. And that was shown by this P2 invasion move, our final beautiful invasion that stirred up chaos and eventually allowed Ke Jie to make a turnaround. Alright, so this is pretty much a goodbye video from the Invader series, but there will be a new series coming out to replace this one. So it is sad, but no worries. There will be a new, very interesting series. I won't reveal the name right now, so please stay tuned. The best way you can watch the new video when it comes out is when you subscribe to my channel. So don't forget to do that if you haven't. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up. And thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you in the new series.